What is up? We are live talking about For Your Eyes Only.
Yep. Back to Bond. Back to
Bond. And let's just say I have a weird kind of story how I discovered this movie. So this is one of the movies, oddly enough, For Your Eyes Only was one of those weird movies that was never in the VHS rentals of the rental store that we went to.
Wow.
So I had to catch it. I caught it on TV one day and I saw it. I'm like, okay, this is intriguing to say the least.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie has an all-star cast. I'll give it that. From Julian Glover. Wikipedia, get your shit together. They said Crispin Glover before as in the. I'm like, what? So that's. I mean, you got an all-star villain in Julian Glover. I just see him as that iconic, dark, evil, menacing, terrorizing villain type in movies. And you've also got Roger Moore in this again. You've got Carol Bouquet. Is that her name? The character?
Yeah, close enough, yeah.
Desmond Llewellyn, who does a good part, who has pretty interesting scenes in this one. I do like how I do like with this one how he and we'll talk about it, but I like how he's in that style of like secret age, like more into the reconnaissance, kind of like more behind the scenes, helping. I also like the part of I find it weird a little bit, but I understand why. But there's no M in this movie per se, and
Right.
to my knowledge, Moonraker was Bernardly's last film before he passed away, or he might have had something after Moonraker. I don't know. I'm just doing this, just me guessing that what it was that. And also you got Moneypenny, the longest reigning Moneypenny, in fact.
Yep.
Funny enough, this, if I'm not mistaken, this is Charles Dance's, one of his first early roles is in this movie.
I thought I saw him. Yes, I did. I was like, that looks like Charles Dance, and he's dead already.
Huh? He's dead?
Well, he in the movie.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you said, like,
no, not real life. Sorry, Charles. No, he's not dead. The character.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But I think this is a fun Bond film for sure. I don't know if you caught the tombstone where Tracy, it says the death is the year that On Her Majesty's Secret Service came out.
Yeah, we talked about this last week when we watched that movie and reviewed it. You had said that technically, even though Diamonds Are Forever was supposed to be the sequel, it's the one that followed up On Your Majesty's Service. This one actually follows up after that pretty much because it starts with Bond again. He's in the helicopter and Blofeld has control of it. And I remember that part, but I don't ever remember seeing the early part where he's looking at the grave. So when I saw it this time around looking, I was like, oh yeah, he's right. I said, Olden's right. It's right there. And he's kind of dealing with the loss of his wife. So it's really kind of a cool thing to see. I didn't ever catch that before. So I did enjoy that little connection.
Honestly, I think that was me also. I've seen this a couple of times. I haven't seen it as many as like some of the others, like over the years. I do like that nod though, like to Majesty. I think now I'm just getting the vibe right now that I could see this like as a legacy kind of sequel in a sense too, from Majesty's to this movie, For Your Eyes Only.
Right.
I like how I kind of like it's a movie with a couple twists, to say the least. From one person from the Bond girl's family getting killed to she killing their killer to somebody else. It's like, who did it? It's kind of movie. It's like, I like that. It's different. It's fresh. It's unique. I do like also Columbo's part in the movie. I think I had never heard of the actor before this movie. I think he's been in other stuff I've seen, but I don't quote me on that.
I'm sure he's been in some other stuff.
I'm thinking he is in one of the Conan movies.
I don't know. I have to look. I did find it interesting, though, that the woman that plays the Countess, Cassandra Harris, she was actually, during this time of this film being made, she was married to Pierce Brosnan, who would later become Bond down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was kind of a cool connection with that.
Oh, I know what I recognize from Flash Gordon. He's Zarkov in Flash Gordon.
Yes, he is.
It's the one role that I recognized him from. I had to look up Flash. He was in Flash Gordon just a minute ago. I'm like, wait a second, I know this actor when I saw.
I know that Michael Gothard, who plays Locke, he's in Life Force, which next Saturday Walter is going to be doing a review of Life Force, so I'll be making that connection there with that actor and that as well.
That's interesting.
I also thought it was interesting because the girl that plays the role of BB, the young skater, she's actually a real skater. So that makes sense because she was really good on the ice. I kept saying that's actually her. I'm watching her because I was watching the face and the twists and the turns, and she's definitely a skater.
She has that style of skating that I think is really unique and cool. I think that I like that style. You know, I like her. I don't know, there's parts of me that like her character, and there are parts of me where I don't like her character. If you get that, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, well, she's portraying basically a young teenager, and obviously she's got affection for Bond, but she's kind of a little brat too. So like the character's bratty. Yeah, so that's probably why it comes off a little annoying.
I didn't even know Disney had a whole. She was in some movie. So this movie came out in 1981. For Your Eyes Only.
Mm-hmm.
The year before, she was in a Disney movie, and I have never even heard of it. It's a Disney horror drama. It's called The Watcher in the Woods. It's a supernatural horror film.
I'm sure I heard of it. I don't know if I've actually seen it. But she was also in Ice Castles, which was about skating as well, so that makes sense.
I'm thinking I've seen. Okay, so Cassandra Harris had only seen it For Your Eyes Only. Michael Gothard was probably only in For Your Eyes Only. I've never seen Life Force. I've never even heard of it, honestly. And I can tell you, I can tie the connection of James Villiers. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That is the Bill Tanner in For Your Eyes Only. I want to say he was also in Never Say Never Again. But don't quote me on that because there's an actor that's like the same kind of role as Tanner in Never Say Never Again. They sound same. I think that's Edward Fox. So that's in Never Say Never Again. I don't know why I'm thinking. I don't know why I was thinking of that movie just randomly.
Yeah.
John Hollis was Blofeld. Yeah. I think Blofeld we can. Hey, Bushido. Long time seeing you, buddy.
What's up, dude?
I think For Your Eyes Only stands out as it's safe to assume until the newer stuff that this is Blofeld's death. I am a fan of the opening sequence. I think it's well done.
Yeah, well, it's like when we started watching, because Neko was sitting with me while we were watching, and we laughed because, of course, for people who don't know, Dr. Evil from Austin Powers is modeled after Blofeld. So everything that Austin Powers did with, like, Michael Myers did with Dr. Evil was all based off of that, with the cat and everything else. And so we start laughing right away. It's like, oh, yeah, it's Dr. Evil. And so obviously, when Bond ends up like dumping Blofeld down the big pipe, the cat's like growling and running away. It's like, cat's like, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this. But yeah, it's a great scene because, really, I started thinking about it as like a nice special effects and stunt work, because I'm pretty sure they did fly helicopter through there. So whoever the stunt person was doing that was pretty impressive.
That's what I was about to say. Also, I noticed probably, I like how I don't. It's almost like it's a direct sequel to Diamonds, also in a sense, because the only reason I say that is because you don't know officially what happens to Blofeld at the end of Diamonds. You think I'm assuming, we'll just make a prediction right now. You assume he's dead. He's either dead, he's really banged up, or he's unable, or he's paralyzed.
Right.
I mean, you get your answer. Basically, he's paralyzed because you see him wheelchair bound, and he's got all these contraptions on top of his wheelchair, and it's like, what? It comes out of nowhere with that opening sequence for sure. I think that's how you do an opening sequence for Bond in that style back in the day.
Yeah, that's always the fun part. Like I'm watching, I'm like, this is one of the reasons why I like that era of Bond so much, because it's so much fun. You got all the toys, the inventions and stuff that Q makes. Like it's just so much fun to watch, like all the goofiness about it all. But
that's my gripe right there with Bond nowadays. It needs if you want to keep Bond fresh and unique and creative, you want to keep Bond how it was back in the. See, I don't understand. This is just me. I don't get why we go away from technology, gadgets, whatever. And I kind of understand it a little bit. To my understanding, I think they're trying to do modernize, so we don't have that stuff. But I mean, you've got so many technology now where you could go do gadgets again.
Yeah, it's they've just signed. I know that in the modern era, like they're trying to get away from like a lot of the womanizing and stuff like that with the women and stuff. They've tried to change the dynamic a little bit, but you're also kind of taking away like the fun that it has. Like, we often forget that these are movies, these are fictional accounts of stuff. This isn't really meant to be taken seriously. And you're supposed to just go in and just kind of have fun with it. And this is why a lot of people grew up with Bond and they enjoy the films, and even women too. They don't really care too much about that aspect. The ones that actually love Bond films, like they don't care about that. They understand what it's about, what he's about. So it's not like, but you get a lot of people to put too many hands in the jar and they're like, well, we got to change it for this and this. And it's like, no, you don't. If people don't want to watch it for that reason, so be it. But it doesn't have to be made for every single person that doesn't even really care about Bond. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I like it. So apparently this ties directly to Majesty's as well. So with this wedding anniversary, this is the 12th the 12th movie, which would be the 12th anniversary of I can't think of her name now. Of the Bond girl from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It ties directly to that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we're kind of going into the plot. That's why I was saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, while Tracy, that's her name, while visiting Tracy's grave, Bond is called back to MI6. Helicopter arrives. He boards the chopper. He notices that the priest who had given him the message genuflects the sign of the cross. The pilot is killed during the flight by electricity that surges through its headset, and a familiar voice begins to taunt Bond over the chopper's loudspeaker. If you want, I am reading this off the wiki. I'm just curious if in case you want to, because it does confirm that it is Blofeld that came over the loudspeaker. So in case anybody's watching this and says that's not Blofeld, there's your proof.
No, it's Blofeld. That's the whole impression about it all.
Yeah. He survived the events of the last encounter with Diamonds Are Forever. He's wheelchair bounded and seeking revenge against Bond for dismantling Spectre. That's right. He does basically destroy Spectre in the end. Bond struggles to gain control of the chopper. He notices a man in a motorized wheelchair nearby. Bond manages to reach the pilot's seat. He cannot operate the copter. Blofeld, controlling the copter with a small console, flies the chopper into a giant foundry building with the intention of letting it crash. Bond realizes that a set of cables have been wired to the chopper, and he rips them out, regaining control of it. He flies after Blofeld and hooks his wheelchair on the end of the chopper's landing skid. Blofeld's cat jumps down and escapes. Blofeld pleads for his life and tries to bargain to be put down on the ground, including offering to buy Bond a delicatessen, Tessian, and stainless steel. A vengeful Bond ironically puts Blofeld down a nearby tall smokestack, finally killing his nemesis for good and avenging Tracy. Blofeld's words are, "Mr. Bond!" as he falls to his doom. Such an iconic scene. You're also you're keep on talking because I'm gonna pull.
Yeah, the other thing I really like about this movie is, again, this is at the heyday when Bond films like to use sharks, and again, Neko and I were kind of having fun with that as like sharks with lasers on their heads, but the shark scenes that they worked with is really good. I've been trying to find some information on it because obviously they weren't harming anything, but tiger sharks were a big thing. Bull sharks were a big thing during the movies eras of, especially with Roger Moore. So I really enjoyed that aspect. It's fun for me to watch stuff like that. Go ahead.
One thing I love about this movie is the score.
Yeah.
The soundtrack. This is, wow, On Her Majesty's Secret Service to me personally is up in the top. If I had to say where Majesty's in terms of the soundtrack, I would say it's up in the top 5 for sure. I would say this is right in that category range. So this is one I listen to a lot, the soundtrack. I think Barry did a really good job on it.
Yeah.
And the composer is still living to this day. Other than Barry, I can't think of the name of him, but he's Bill Conti. That's his name. He did other music and stuff. But so you have stuff like, if I can, give me 1 second. Okay. I gotta do this the old-fashioned way. Keep on talking about the movie because I'm trying to get pictures of, like.
Well, yeah. So basically, after Blofeld's gone, they go into the title credits for the film. Sheena Easton with her "For Your Eyes Only" song is one of the better Bond themes that are out there in the hemisphere. But then we get the scene that has Melina, who's our main Bond girl in this, who she's arriving by seaplane to her father's yacht, and I forget where they are. Greece, maybe, because I know they're Greek, but
I think it's Greece.
but this is following when a ship that's a fishing charter ship that's out there blows up.
France. She was in a vacation in France. She reunites with her parent. Right.
Yeah. So the father is, of course, he's diving for
ATAC
artifacts and stuff down in the ocean there, and he's close to where there was a sinking of a ship that was hidden as a basically a spy ship for, I think it was for the UK. I'm not sure. I can't remember the British government or whatever, but either way, they end up coming across a mine, a mine from the war that they catch in their net, and it blows up the side of the ship, sinking it. So they've got this device called the ATAC or something like that, that now everybody wants to try to get a hold of. It's the Russians, just different types of organizations. So obviously the US, the UK, and the Russians want to try to get to this thing first. So anyway, Melina's flying in on a seaplane to her dad's yacht, gets there, and we get the pilot there who's dropping her off, then takes off. And then, of course, as she meets her dad and I guess her mom, she goes back down into the den to the office. And when she starts to go there, the plane circles back around, and the guy is like basically got guns on his plane and shoots the father and the wife, killing them, missing her. So she knows who the pilot is, at least by name and look. So because she flew in with him, so now she's on a revenge quest.
His name would be Hector Gonzalez.
Yeah.
His wife. Yeah. So when she's brought in, Hector Gonzalez with his little plain minigun underneath starts firing. Here, before we continue, here's some pics from the opening. Here's the plane. This is Bond clinging for his life, and also this is like a still of the scene right there. Mr. Bond,
please, Mr. Bond.
Yeah. But and then I feel like we should have gone just in case anybody's never seen this, the opening after the Blofeld and after the credit song and stuff, I feel there's a ship out in the Adriatic Sea called the St. George's. It's a British, they have
a trawler.
A trawler.
Yeah.
And they have a thing called an ATAC on there, which is a valuable defense and offensive device that the Soviet Union would like to obtain. The ship's decoy fishing crew hauls in a net. It brings with it an old anti-warship mine, which explodes, sinking the St. George's. So now, okay, so I connect as I'm seeing this movie. I notice the dots connect with me because, and we'll tie it when we get to Columbo and their warehouse encounter, because I'm thinking that's one of the same mines now that detonated St. George's.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be. But yeah. Okay. So we'll back forward now to Havelock and his wife are killed. Melina is unharmed and mourns her parents' murder with a look of despair and rage on her face. James Bond is called in M's office to meet with Bill Tanner and Minister of Defense Sir Frederick Gray, who's been majority of the Roger Moores, and one Timothy Dalton movie also.
Mm-hmm.
He's ordered to find ATAC, his first lead man being Hector Gonzalez, a pilot and Cuban national who killed the Havelocks. Tanner orders Tanner orders Bond to find Gonzalez near Madrid and interrogate him for information. Bond goes to the Gonzalez home where he's throwing a party. Bond observes that Gonzalez is meeting with a mysterious man in an elegant suit and octagonal wire-framed glasses. He deduces that he is paying Gonzalez for the assassination he performed. Bond is captured by a security guard and brought to Gonzalez, who identifies him immediately as British Secret Service and orders him taken away. Right as Hector Gonzalez is about to dive into the pool, he is struck and killed by a crossbow arrow fired by an unseen assassin.
Which is funny because they thought that he belly flopped on purpose, so everyone's laughing. And then when they realize he's floating to the top of the arrow on the back, they start screaming and whatnot.
I think that to me now, you got me thinking that's a cool kill, that crossbow arrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like from out of nowhere.
Say it, I was like, it's funny because, Bond's there. He's sneaking around and he gets caught, but then she gets in there and she doesn't get caught at all. And she has no spy experience, but she managed to infiltrate in there and get him killed anyway.
The distraction allows Bond to escape. The man with wire-framed glasses does not intervene and instead leaves with the money that he intended to pay Gonzalez. As Bond makes his escape, one of the security guards chasing him was also killed by a crossbow bolt. Melina Havelock is the shooter. She's on a revenge quest for the death of her parents. Funny enough, this is the same car from The Spy Who Loved Me that blows up when the henchmen try to break into one of the windows. The Lotus Esprit is aka Wet and Alley.
Yep, that blows up.
AKA akin before there was Little Nelly and You Only Live Twice, and now there's Wet Nelly. I'm like, what? Okay, anyways. Bond and Melina use her small, clunky is it a Citroen?
It's an old car. I know that.
Citroen in a furious chase where they evade Gonzalez's men in a wild chase through a small town and through an orchard. In London, Bond reports back to MI6. They used identigraph for failing to identify Locke. Basically, he's revealed to be Emil Locke.
Like facial recognition, and just instead of having someone draw it out, it's like done on a computer.
That's one thing I like about this movie. It's different. It's unique. It's fresh.
And that's the other thing too. Like, again, we go back to all the inventions. During this era, like Roger Moore was very sarcastic with Q. Like, whenever like the cast would crush the dude's head, he's like smashing. He makes his little comments, and Q's like, "That's not very funny." 007. Even when he's like, "Hey, you got my car back," he's like, "That's not good. Quit blowing up my shit."
Most recent intel suggests he is operating in Cortina in northern Italy. I'm not going to say that last part, but it's Cortina di Ampezzo or something in northern Italy. Bond travels to Cortina and meets Luigi, an Italian Secret Service agent that tells him that Locke may be associated with a man called the White Dove, indicated by the pin Locke and its members wear. He directs Bond to his most reliable contact in the Greek underworld, Christatos. Dun, dun, dun.
Christatos.
Christatos identifies the White Dove as Milos Colombo, the kingpin of Greece's heroin trade and former business associate and friend of Christatos. Christatos asks Bond to be an escort for his young skating protege, Bibi. While she watches biathlon, Bibi tries to seduce Bond in his hotel room, but Bond refuses her advances due to her young age. at the biathlon. Baby points out Eric Kriegler.
The funny thing about BB though too is like in the movie, obviously, she's again portraying a young girl, teenager, who's trying to seduce Bond, but he shuns her away. But apparently, in real life, the actress that plays Melina, Carol, she's a year younger than the actress that plays BB. But you can kind of tell the way they portrayed the characters that Melina seemed far more mature in terms of the actress that was portraying her compared to BB. So they did a good job of separating how they would look on screen.
Mm-hmm. Baby points out a friend of hers, Eric Kriegler, a competitor in the event. Bond bids Baby farewell and leaves the event. As he skis away, he is attacked by a small group of killers on winterized motorcycles.
That shit was cool. With the blood, the spikes. I love that shit.
I love with this scene, these couple scenes. I would say it first started when the one guy, when Bond goes into the flower shop. I would say it started there when Bond goes into the flower shop, and then he says,
"Yeah," because Melina shows up, and he's like, "Well, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "Well, you sent me a letter." He's like, "No, I didn't." So now he knows that they're on to her, just like they're on to him. So obviously, there's a couple of guys on the bikes waiting, and then as you said, Kriegler, he's not a very nice dude, even though he's part of the Olympics or whatever they got going on over there. But yeah, so Bond tries to get her into a little horse and carriage thing. They have this little moment where he's like, "Just go back. I'll come get you when I get more information." He's loved, a little pissy and whatnot. But then he gets tracked down and chased by the guys on the bikes, which again, like you'd think with the modern Bond films, they would have a little bit more of these gadgets because like those motorcycles had guns on them. Like they didn't have to hold anything. They just had them on the gun on the bikes. So it's like they're not really doing much of that now. It's almost like the stuff we were watching during this era was more futuristic than the stuff that we're getting now.
Mm-hmm. And what was it? Okay. I do like the motorcycles on winter. I wish we as humans had that. I wish technology you could do that with motorcycles to this day. You imagine that? That'd be fun.
Yeah, I really would be curious how they kind of pulled that off. I don't know if it was just like solid.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. So now I'm wondering more stuff about this movie. Like the bobsled scene was really cool. It's like he had no ski, he had no poles, and he's just skiing along, without the poles. But anyways, Kriegler tries to kill Bond with his sniper rifle. I think he has a bad shot as a sniper rifle.
Yeah. Well, he was hitting his target, but they weren't moving when he was doing the triathlon. And then when he went after Bond, he was having a hard time getting that target. Although he was able to hit like his pole and stuff. So like there were times when Bond would have his like ski pole and it got shot out of his hand. So I mean, he wasn't a horrible shot, but it was always like, unless it wasn't stationary,
Gotta say, this Eric Kriegler is popular enough that there's some guy on X with the Twitter name of that.
Must be a big fan of the movie.
Or a Bond fan in general.
Mm-hmm.
Bond.
I didn't know she died that early, huh?
Huh?
Well, Cassandra Harris, who played the Countess, who was married to Brosnan during that time, she died in '91. So she didn't get to see her husband go and become Bond after that. But that's too bad.
I was gonna add on to about the motorcycles and stuff. So I don't know if you know this or not. Also, it started with The Spy Who Loved Me, but there's every second of a Spy Who Loved Me, of Moonraker, and of For Your Eyes Only. There's a guy with either a glass in one, he's got another drink in Moonraker, and then he's drinking in Spy Who Loved Me. It's on the guy on the beach in The Spy Who Loved Me, and then he's in the gondola car. Not the gondola car, the hovercraft thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other is the ski chase. As Bond's going across the table, you see him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different. It's like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Basically, Bond is able to escape his attackers, killing several of them. Bond meets Bibi at the Olympic skating rink where Bibi is practicing. He asks her about Kriegler and finds out that he is an East German defector. Bibi leaves. He is again attacked, this time by free-hulking hockey players. Bond beats them all and returns to his car. There he finds that Ferrara has been killed, and Ferrara's dead hand is a white dove pen. And I thought that hockey scene was okay at best. I mean,
I think it's just them trying to have fun again. It wasn't like to be. It's kind of funny because some of the stuff that I've seen in this film. So, like the first car scene at the beginning, where they're going through the vineyards and stuff. Commando with Schwarzenegger did something kind of similar where he's traveling down the mountain in his truck that doesn't have any brakes, and he's crossing over where the cars are chasing, have his daughter in that one. But then, like, this thing here, what were we just talking about? I just lost my train of thought.
The orchard, the vineyard.
No, before that, what were we talking about?
Oh,
skiing?
The hockey.
Yeah, so that was very similar to again Schwarzenegger in Running Man, where he fights a skater in that Sub-Zero. So it's just kind of funny, some of the things that looked like it kind of drew some influence from this film and other films that came later.
And Ferrara's dead hand is a white dove pen. Bond goes to the business section of Cortina the next day and spots Melina buying a crossbow. As he approaches her... Oh, okay. As he approaches her, they are both attacked by men on motorcycles, much like Bond. Huh. Okay. Some of the story on the wiki is messed up. Interesting. That doesn't make sense. When the attack, the crossbow thing, wouldn't that be before Eric Kriegler? Wasn't that before Eric Kriegler?
Yeah, because I think she was shopping for the crossbow before Bond found her, and that's when she said, "You called me to be here." Okay. So after he finds Luigi, dead. That's when he travels to Corfu in pursuit of Colombo, because he thinks Colombo is now responsible for Luigi's death.
So this is Greece.
Mm-hmm.
So in Greece, Bond travels to Greece to continue.
And he's still talking with Costassos, who he thinks is on his side.
Yes. Bond travels to Greece to continue his investigation of Colombo. At a nightclub, he meets with Christados and asks how to meet Colombo, not knowing that Colombo's men are secretly recording their conversation. Mm-hmm. Colombo is at the same club and is meeting with Liesel von Schlaf, a countess. She becomes openly insulted by one of Colombo's comments and proceeds to leave. Bond, seeing the opportunity to learn about Colombo, approaches Liesel and offers to have Christados' valet, a postess, drive her back to her hotel. After the valet leaves, Bond and Liesel spend the night together. Liesel confesses that Colombo knows that Bond is a secret agent and has asked her to learn more about him. Unbeknownst to either of them, a postess is secretly listening on their conversation. In the morning, the two walk on the beach and are attacked by Locke and another apparent White Dove's henchman, Klaus.
Doom buggies.
Why did it's just an odd random scene to me, that scene. Locke.
Well, I think the funny thing here, and maybe this is their thinking, because from what I read, initially, Melina was supposed to die early in the film. She was supposed to be killed off. But I think in the end, because like usually whenever Bond has a film, there's at least one chick that dies that he's been involved with. So I think they decided that the Countess was going to be the one they were going to sacrifice in the film. Because obviously when they're running away from the Doom buggies and Bond is fighting the henchmen, she takes off, and that's when Locke goes chasing after her with his buggy and like runs her over. And then when they're gonna kill Bond, that's when Charles Vance is there, or Charles Dance. He gets shot in back from a spear that's coming from some guys in the water. And then, of course, Locke takes off. He's fearful of whoever is coming out of the water. There's a bunch of like guys with spear guns. And he goes, checks on the Countess. She's dead. And then he sees these guys have like doves on their sweatsuits or swimsuit or dive suits. Mm-hmm. And he starts to say something and they knock his ass out. They put him on the yacht where Columbo is. And Columbo, of course, plays the voice recorder that he had of the night that he talked to Christos the night before. And I agree with you. I think that the actor Shane Topol does a great job of the character of Columbo because he's very charismatic, always eating pistachios, you know. And he's not ashamed that he's like, yeah, I am a smuggler, but I smuggle like pistachios and random shit. Like I'm not like Christos, who's like a drug dealer, you know, and all this. So he's telling Bond, like, I'm not the one that you should be looking for. The guy you've been working with is the one that's describing himself. Because obviously Christoph and Columbo don't get along. They're not friendly. They're competitors in the market, and one does one type of thing, and then Christoph is doing more dangerous, more evil shit. So Columbo talks to Bond. He's like, look, you know, we'll check out the warehouse where Christos has his stuff, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about, and then we'll be friends. And he gives him like a glass of whiskey or whatever. He gives Bond back his gun, which was loaded, and Bond's like, yeah, okay, I believe it. You got me a loaded gun. Okay. So they go to the warehouse, and that's when they discover these tanks that are filled with like raw opium. And you know, they figure they're going to try to. They see Locke there, of course, and then all hell breaks loose as everyone starts shooting, and a firefight breaks out. And this is one of my favorite scenes from the film, is when Locke gets in his Benz and he's trying to get out of the area. It's like on a mountain, but it's like short, narrow roads with like a little bit of tunnels that you have to drive through, so you can't just speed through it.
Part of this film also.
Yeah. So Bond is running up the steps, which I don't know if he's really able to beat that car getting out of there, but that was funny. He's running up these steps to get ahead of the car with Locke, and obviously Locke is like Christoph's like lead assassin guy. So this is something that's pissing off Bond a little bit, because Locke is the one that probably killed Luigi. So he's driving up, and he's almost out of it, and then Bond beats him to the punch and shoots at the glass, and it hits him in the shoulder, and then he slides to the cliff, and this car's like hanging off just by a thread. And again, favorite part, he's walking up to it, and the window's down, and Locke's trying to look. He sees him. He says, "You left this for Luigi," and he throws him back the pennant with the dove on it. And then as the car starts slipping off the cliff, Bond puts his foot on it, kicks it out, and of course, Locke's now dead. But that's such a great death scene.
Hello, Jedi.
Walt, baby love, is sexual chocolate in the house. Going on, Jedi?
Yeah, I like that comment you left. Oh man.
It's my boy.
I do. I think Locke's death is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I love the line. You left this with Ferrara, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then bang, kicks him hard enough. The car, if I can pull this picture, I can get a better detail, but these are on there, so these are web files.
Well, the funny thing too is that it wasn't just revenge for Ferrara, it was revenge for the Countess too, because he's the one that killed her. So there's a lot of pissed off Bond here. He's like, yeah, I'm tired of you, buddy. I'm getting rid of you now. He didn't even care. He didn't even think twice. He's like, you're going down. So yeah, after this from Albania, the warehouse, Bond meets back up Melina, and they're going to go recover the ATAC from the wreckage of the St. George's, which was sunk at the beginning of the film.
Do you
go ahead.
Do you think it ties together now, since that was a bomb in the warehouse, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the bomb. I wonder if that was staged or something. Because you know,
you're talking about the mine?
Yes, I'm talking about the mine. From the connection between the mine in the beginning and then the mine later, you know?
It's possible. But then I don't know if Colombo would have even known anything about the ATAC. Now, he might have. Mm-hmm. You know, those probably are the waters that he frequents in terms of smuggling and stuff. So it's possible he knew that was a secret ship for that kind of stuff, but I don't know. They really don't lead too much in that. I think that even Bond would have picked up on it if that were the case. He'd been like, "Huh, why do you have mines here?" Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's something they really thought about. It might have been something to just put there. Maybe Colombo collects those too, and he just happens to miss that one that got caught in that net. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But that's an interesting point of view, because that does make you think about that scene and how much of a factor Colombo might have actually been in the sinking of the St. George's. So that's an interesting point of view. But Melina and Bond reconnect, and they're going to go down in a submersible to go and retrieve the ATAC. And of course, they as they go into the hull of the ship. Tiger shark swims out. Yeah. And so you get a nice tiger shot look there. And so they get in there, but then we also realize from the top where Christoph is with his yacht, and they're keeping track, and they know that someone's down there messing around in the ship. So we get this guy that comes down in this, like, what would you call that, Missy? Because you worked on the subs. It's like a full body subsuit, but it's almost like a
apparently it's almost called a JIM.
Mechanicals.
JIM. That's the name. I don't know if that's what you would call it, but they say on the wiki, on the James Bond wiki, they call it JIM. JIM. It's a JIM suit. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, if you ever saw The Abyss, it's one of those too. So it's something like that. It's not a tight dive suit, but it's a bigger one. Yeah, it's very cool.
I'll show a picture. I've got the picture.
It's almost mechanical in nature. So, but anyways, one of the goons goes down in that, and he's gonna start chasing after Bond and Melina, which he confronts them when they get the ATAC, and he grabs it from Melina and then tears her hose, letting water in to her suit. Bond, there was like a self-destruct bomb that was on the counter in the ship. So he pulled that off and then put it on top of the suit that the villain's on and activates it. Then they grab the ATAC from it and swim out. And the guy he can hear it ticking inside his suit. And he finally realizes, like, oh, fuck, I'm fucked. Sure. And there you go, the white suit there. And he ends up blowing up, and the other two get out. They get back into their submersible. Bond saves her from basically suffocating without the oxygen. But as they go up to the surface, they're intercepted by Christoph and his men. And again, we lead to another great fucking scene in the film. Now, apparently, I thought that this was all legit in terms of the speed, but apparently the sequence where they tie up Melina and Bond and then tow them behind the boat for the sharks, that was all done in slow motion. So they had like a fan in the water that was blowing bubbles toward it, make it look like they were going faster in the water than they actually were.
It's interesting that you say that.
Why?
I didn't know. It's interesting that you say that they used a fan behind the scenes, to make it look like a fan.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch it, it looks like they're literally doing it the way they look at. Because I mean, technically, you could shoot scenes like that at speeds, but obviously, like another thing that I think is amazing is how they did the coral reef. Now, it could be plastic or like very easy to break, because if you were to scrape or cut yourself on coral reef, it's sharp, so it would hurt you. So I don't know exactly how they performed those scenes. I can only assume they were maybe fake and not enough to hurt you in real life, but just to make it look like it could do something to you. But yeah, so they had cut a couple of cuts on their legs or whatever, and then put them in the water to be towed behind the boat. And a couple tiger sharks show up, and a couple times they miss them in the meantime. And then finally, Bond and her, they manage, because they're tied together, they manage to get the rope around like a bigger piece of the rock, and because it's not very high, like they can dive far enough down to actually tie it up and get the line entangled, which they do. And so it starts stretching. And once it breaks, it hits some other dude that's on the ship, and he falls over, and the sharks go after him. Then earlier, when Bond and Melina met, they left one of their air tanks from their dive suits down there, and that's where they go, and they breathe the air until the boat leaves, because Christoph's not going to wait all day. He's got things to do. He's like, the sharks had them. Let's go. So finally, when they start going away, they get back to her dad's yacht. So go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was going to tell you, you need to pull this wiki up, because on the wiki, they've got a map, and they've got the dots where the locations are.
Oh, that's cool.
Of the, like, let's say the one of them's in Mexico, like in Florida area, and then one is in Bolivia, is near Spain, Greece, Italy, all these, like the Bahamas, I'm saying, England, Italy, Greece, Pinewood Studios, 007 stage, they all did. But then those shooting locations, then they actually filmed in these different, like the movie's locations, how they say them in the movie, Like, let's say, example, Corfu, they actually filmed there. And they didn't just make that up. And that's when I'm looking at, well, there's a lot of trivia to look on. But you were at the part where they're both dead, the shark, right?
Yeah, so once they get the air tank at the bottom of the sea, where they were doing all the archaeology stuff to uncover stuff, that's what her father was. Her father was actually kind of working for the government. He was trying to secretly find the St. George's while he was uncovering artifacts, but he got found out. That's why he got shot. But so anyway, they found their tank down there. They breathe through it so they can pretend that they're dead or whatever. Christoph's, drives off in the yacht that he has, and they go back to the father's yacht. And now they're trying to figure out where Christoph is going, because he's got the ATAC.
The bird.
Right. The bird gives it away. There's a parrot that was a pet of the father's, and he copies everything. So they were talking about.
It's cool.
Saint Cyril, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, you're right.
And this is actually a cool place. Apparently, the monks didn't like that they were shooting there, but it's up on this big ass rock, and you got this little building area up there, and the way that they choose to go and climb up there, because there's like a little makeshift basket elevator you have to get to. But in order to get there, you have to climb the side of these rocks, and it's very risky because obviously you can fall. But Bond goes up. There's a couple close calls where some of the henchmen that are guarding the monastery try to kill Bond while they catch him on the side of the rock, but he manages to get up there.
What we're talking about, in case anybody's looking.
Yep, big ass rock there. Yep. And so once he gets to the elevator room, he drops it down, and of course the rest of the gang, Columbo and Melina, come up. And now they're going to go infiltrate, and they're going to make sure to take out the henchmen first. So they capture them because they're all kind of sleeping and whatever. So they get most of them packed away, and now it's just basically Kriegler, Christoph's, Bibi and her trainer are there, but they're not really involved. They're just part of the towing the line right now because they just follow wherever. Because I guess Christoph, who's kind of like her uncle, is also the benefactor. He's the one who puts money for her sponsorship. So that's kind of like why she's in tow.
Oh, shoot. I hope I didn't catch the audio on the stream.
What's that?
Something on the something else, different tab. Okay. For a second, okay. The cat video.
Oh, gotcha. So now they're, gonna confront Christoph and Kriegler. And Kriegler, he's a strong dude. Like earlier when he was chasing Bond, he was throwing his entire motorcycle at Bond, even though it didn't go very far. But they're wrestling around, and this is of course after Christoph slaps Bibi, because she's like wanting to leave. She doesn't want to be a part of this whole thing anymore. But Kriegler is like picking up this flower pot that's like concrete and whatnot. He's getting ready to slam Bond with it.
And then Bond uses the poker, the big round circle fire poker.
Yeah. And then pushes him out the window where the thing takes the weight with him and throws him off the cliff. So, go ahead.
I like how they use I like the climbing aspect of how Bond gets to the top of the mountain. Rock climbing, I've never done it myself personally. I would like to try it. It's something eventually. I don't know. I have to be in physical shape and stuff to do it. I'm not. But I think that had to be a really hard stunt probably to do also,
Oh, it was. In fact, from what I read, Moore actually did some of it, but most of it was done by the stunt guy because it was really scary for Moore. He actually was taking like some medication to kind of deal with the height and at the risk, because apparently, like, you see a moment where he's in there and he's actually tying his shoelaces to it to kind of climb back up, and that's actually something that can be done. Now I don't know how much of it Moore did, but apparently, like, it was pretty jarring experience for him. So most of it was done by a stunt guy, but I would be like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't care. You want to get 5-year-old Tom Cruise over here to do this? Great, you can do that, but I'm not doing that. And I say that because Tom Cruise at the time was probably very young, probably 10 or 11, I think, at this point. I don't know how old he was when he did Risky Business, but either way, they're there confronting everybody, and once Kriegler goes over to Cliff, now Bond is chasing Christoph, but Christoph's also being chased by Columbo, and they're fighting over because Christoph has the ATAC, which he's waiting for the KGB head guy to come in a helicopter that I guess he's selling it to him or something. I don't remember, but
he was 21 in when Risky Business came out.
So he's probably about 17, 18 when he did or was around that time this was made, so which makes sense because he did Taps around 81, so yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, Columbo and Christoph are fighting and trying to get to the ATAC, and finally Bond gets to the ATAC first because Christoph drops it, and there's a quick moment where Melina wants to kill Christoph. Like, she has her crossbow. She wants to finish the job for her revenge. But Bond's like, look, man, you don't need to do this now. We've got him. You can have him arrested or whatever. And he's kind of just trying to save her from the idea of killing people, something that he knows he can do, but he doesn't really want other people to do it because it's a bad thing to carry with you. So but she's very defiant, and so he steps aside and says, "Okay," But then, like, Kristoff tries to pull a knife, and that's when Columbo actually throws his knife at Kristoff, hitting him in the back and killing him. So it solves the problem for everybody at that point. Melina got cheated, but at least she doesn't have to live with killing that guy, even though she's killed the other dude already. I don't know why Bond was so worried about Kristoff at that point. It's like, dude, she's been killing guys left and right. I don't think she's worried about this guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so then it's just Bond and the KGB guy standing there.
General Gogol.
Yeah, great actor, by the way. I've seen him in a lot of stuff back in the day.
From his tenure with the Bond movies is The Spy Who Loved Me to The Living Daylights.
Yeah. So the guy, he's like opening his hands, like, "Okay, give me the ATAC," and he's like, no, I'm just gonna throw it off the cliff, and it shatters.
That's fun.
Yeah, and so basically Bond's like, "Now I don't have it, and you don't have it." That's basically what it was. Is that it's a bad thing to have for any power or superpower. So Bond's like just thinking about the bigger scheme of it all is like to get rid of it, so that nobody has it. And then basically the Russian guy just kind of laughs it off and then takes off on his helicopter again, and all's well. BB gets a new sponsor with Columbo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so then you get just to the final end, and they're gonna go for a midnight swim. I can't do her accent, but she's very seductive when she says it. And they jump in the water naked, doing their thing. And that's, of course, when he's also getting a call from Margaret Thatcher, which is great.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, so she thinks that she's talking to Bond, but she's actually talking to the parrot.
She's talking to Max.
Max is Max. Max like, give us a kiss. Give us a kiss. And she's like, really, Mr. Bond? But yeah, I mean, dude, I remember, like, the funny thing about this was I already seen Live and Let Die when I was younger. And I didn't really keep up with it at that point. So, like, the stuff after that, I didn't really see. But one day, just on regular TV, the newscast, they were talking about for this movie. They were talking about this movie, how much it took to film it. Mm-hmm. And apparently, the studio that made it was in bankruptcy. So this movie saved them from going bankrupt, in the end. Like, it saved them all that. So, but there was so much talk about, of course, the movie, and then they were talking to Roger Moore, promoting the film. And so I was like, oh, wow, I really want to see this, because it looked cool. And I just had kind of forgotten about Bond for the most part because I was so young, but that really kind of helped solidify me as a Roger Moore fan. Then, of course, Octopussy that came out after, that even did it more. So I was just becoming more and more a Bond guy, and I eventually went back to watch the other Bond films, the other Connery films, and I was like, oh, this is the greatest shit ever. Like, I don't know why I didn't get into this much better or much earlier.
Where does this in your ranking for James Bond? I'll tell you.
I don't know exactly where, but it's definitely top 5. Definitely
it is?
Top. Yeah.
There's a lot of we'll have to pull it up. One of us will, but there's a lot of trivia on the wiki.
Actually, I can tell you, because I did make my list, I think. Where did I put it, though? That's the question.
Mm-hmm. I would say this is in my top 10 somewhere, maybe 7, maybe.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, it's my number 2. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Would you recommend this to somebody that's never? I mean, let me ask you this: would you use this as a starting point to get into Bond, or would you recommend somebody check out the era, like the Connerys, or to get into?
Well, it depends because, again, we talked about how Bond films have transformed over the years. Like, they're not, a lot of people look back at Connery stuff and the sexism and stuff like that, like, even though that was part of the era, Same with Roger Moore. A lot of it was just dripping with, you know, machoism type stuff. Whereas even though Daniel Craig was like a sex symbol during his time as Bond, it wasn't delivered the same way. Like he was more just a straight killer spy, and less was spent on like Googling at girls, even though we still had a few during that era. But it just was treated a lot differently. So depending on who it is, if I knew who the person was, like if it was a young person that just had a love for like old school films like horror and stuff, I would start with anything from Connery and more. Like that's fine. But if you're talking about somebody who's more modern and are a little bit more sensitive to how women were treated during those films, I'd probably start with more like the Brosnan or Daniel Craig stuff. Like I would just go there first. And I say if you want to risque yourself, go do all the other ones, you know. But
do we want to discuss what came out today about James Bond for a second?
Sure.
So on this is from Discussing Film. This is a news site on X, and they post breaking news reports, whatever. So today news came out that these are the directors pitching for the next James Bond movie. They include Edward Berger, never heard of him, Denis Villeneuve, Dune movies, other stuff I can't think of right now. Edgar Wright, Hot Fuzz director. Jonathan Nolan, who's the brother of Christopher Nolan, and Paul King. Who do you have? I got a question for you now. So out of those names, who could you see as a possible Bond director if you wanted to see out of any of those names listed?
Easily Christopher Nolan.
Jonathan Nolan, you're saying?
Actually, I would take Christopher Nolan.
Jonathan Nolan is the brother of Christopher Nolan, by the way. He is also the writer of The Dark Knight.
Hey, that's fine. But, you know, obviously Christopher is the one that actually directed it. And Christopher, I love a lot of the Christopher Nolan stuff. So
Same.
Just an amazing director. And we talked about this with Rick Myers at one point because obviously Amazon's going to be taking over the Bond stuff. And even though Rick is a little concerned about that, one thing he mentioned I thought I really liked the idea about was technically now, because because they're having such a hard time like deciding how they're going to move forward with Bond since Craig is out of the picture. You know, Neko and I have been kind of screaming for Idris Elba to be Bond for a long time now, but the way that Rick laid it out made a lot of sense. It's like, if Amazon is smart, you can go, because there's a lot of directors that wanted to direct a Bond film, like even Quentin Tarantino wanted to, Christopher Nolan liked to, or you mentioned Edgar Wright. Like, give each guy a chance to do a film and have them choose whoever they want to be Bond, however they want to write it, and see what happens. Because there's so many Bond stories that you can do just about anything. And if you don't have to worry about just selecting one actor to do it anymore. You can sit there and say, hey, Christopher Nolan, you got a chance to do Bond. If you want to do Idris Elba as your Bond, go for it. Let's see what you do. You know, Quentin, if he wants to put a different actor in there to do Bond, he can do that. He can do whatever he wants. If he wants to do a female Bond, he can do that. You know, people are going to react the way they want to react, but if these directors get a chance to do their thing, I think they could probably do a pretty good job. It's just a matter if it comes out the way people want, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I could see them doing like what they did with Star Wars and the later stuff and doing a writer's room, you know, where, you know, they can get their directors, a group of directors. You can get your storyboard art people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in a sense, it's like what they did with Indiana Jones also, because I mean, I haven't seen the last one I didn't care for. It doesn't interest me anyways.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? So let's say Amazon gets 3 different directors to do their own films. Well, maybe not all of them will connect with people. You know, people might say, "Yeah, I really liked Christopher Nolan's version. I like what he did." But then, you know, let's say Edgar Wright, because he's a little bit more cinematic, he's a little bit more pretentious in some way. So, like, maybe his won't connect with people because it's too weird. Like, he'll do a too weird one, right? Tarantino, his might be a little bit too goofy, but maybe people have fun with it because he is being goofy with it. So it just depends. You know, we talk about those last 3 Star Wars films and how disjointed they are. And that's part of the problem when you don't have a plan in place, or you don't, you know, you're not using the history of the franchise to lead those movies. Like, if I was going to do a Bond film, I have to draw from inspiration. I have to go back and look at everything else that came before and say, okay, this is what I like about Bond. This is what I don't really care for. I'm going to leave that out, but then I'll take this. So again, you and I talked about at the beginning, where are the fucking gadgets? Where are the gadgets? Those are the things that made Bond fun. Where are they? So if I'm doing a Bond film, guess what? The gadgets are coming back. You know, I want to have the fun gadgets, you know, and I don't mind like sexy women. I could do, you know, I don't necessarily have to do it the way that they did with Roger Moore or Connery, but I can take, like, Anna de Armas showed up in the last one.
I would make her the girl. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. She's fantastic, you know, and so she's strong, independent, intelligent, sexy. Like, you can just use her as a Bond girl. So it's not hard to do. It's just, you got to make sure your script is good and that you're not insulting the intelligence of your audience, because that's what happens with Star Wars. You're playing it by numbers, trying to be safe, and you're trying to pander to too much shit that doesn't need to pander to, and it hurts the story and it hurts the product. So that's one thing I worry about. And I think, you know, unfortunately, No Time to Die was the letdown for me, even though Malik was great in that film. But you know, it missed out on some other things that I would have liked more. I don't care so much that Daniel didn't want to be a part of it anymore. That's fine. But it misses the mark. I like some of the other Daniel Craig stuff, like Casino Royale is great. I liked Spectre or Starfall, excuse me. Is it Skyfall? But some of the other ones are, you know, take it or leave it. But yeah, you know, when you, me, and Jedi, we're going to talk about our rankings of the Bond films towards the end of the year when we have a chance to look at a few more and rank them, and then we'll talk about what we like and dislike about them. But yeah, you know, I don't know what they're going to do in the future. I don't know who they're going to choose, but again, hopefully the stories are good, you know.
You got me curious how they would do the villain, what era you would set it in also, because I mean, I don't think we've done like World War, you know, be interesting as like a World War II-ish era still, because I don't think they covered all that stuff with the Bond stuff, you know, or even like a Cold War kind of, but then again, I think they did one of those that was in that era. So I mean,
yeah, they tie it down because Russia was always like one of the main things. Like Octopussy has a lot of the Russian tensions with the U.S. and stuff like that, and the British government, of course. So that stuff's there a little bit because of what's going on around us in society. But like now, technically, you could use the shit that's going on with Iran in the Middle East. That could be something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing about this film too is that it cost only $28 million to make, and it made $195 million worldwide. Now that's kind of small for a Bond film, but actually it still made a lot of money, so that's kind of good for it. But just the budget itself was so small. You're like, they did so much, probably because a lot of it's not CGI; it's like actual stunt work and good stuff. That's why I appreciate Tom Cruise a lot, because the guy just does his own shit. Like, you know, he knows what it takes to make a good film, and he's not trying to skate by. If he does use CGI, it's very little, you know, but he really comes at it with a nice mindset that people want good action films and they're going to pay to see them, you know.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to give review scores?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 10 out of 10, easily.
I would say it's a 9.5, 9, 8.
Okay.
8.5, 9. I'm in that ballpark range. Or
well, no, you can't do that. You got to pick one. Which one is it?
putting me on the spot. Anyways, I think it's a 9.5.
Okay.
So it's a close 10.
Good choice. Good choice.
Upcoming content?
Yeah. So Sunday, I'm joining Kevin Lambert for a retro movie show. We're going to do the Karate Kid special where we're going to talk about the first 4 films. I don't know if we're going to talk about the one that just came out, Legends. I did see it, and I know Kevin did, but I don't know if anybody else did, so I don't know how much we're going to touch on that. But
I hope those are on the list eventually, the Karate Kids.
Very good films. And so, well, at least some of them. 3 and 4, so not so much, but first 2 are great, obviously. But yeah, that's coming up on Sunday. Wednesday, as usual, with Mr. Tony Dead, The Ghouls of Midnight. My pick will be Beyond Evil from 1980. He picked a movie from this year called Marshmallow. So I don't know what to expect out of that yet.
But what? I know what you're
Marshmallow. That's all I know.
I was just playing around.
Then going into the weekend, I'm doing something on Saturday with Jedi for the review for Life Force. And that's gonna be a lot of fun. And then you and I are gonna do a special gig where we're not really picking a movie. We're gonna be interviewing Bobby, who's got an upcoming movie. He's putting out a horror film, but we're also gonna talk about the movie Grandma, which is his last one, and maybe some of the other projects in terms of just questions that we have for him about filmmaking. I actually bought a vinyl off him today because he had like one that was limited to 500 that I got for $25. So I'm really happy about that. I didn't know he was a metal fan, so that's cool. But he did he's given us a chance to see Grandma, which is cool. I want to check it out. Stars a woman actress that I interviewed not too long ago, Angel Bradford, so that's kind of fun.
You know,
go ahead.
This could put this show on the map further if this interview goes successful.
Well, hopefully. I mean, it's all about trying to connect with people, and so
imagine this. We could have more interviews down further.
Yeah.
I mean, do a little segment, where you do like
never hurts to reach out. I mean, if you ever like come across a film that you really like and you have a way to email or contact somebody, you can always say, "Hey, I really love this film. I was surprised, but I'd like to do a video interview with you on our show." And sometimes the worst they can say is no, or they don't have time. But it's not ever really. I've never had a bad experience with that.
Are we doing that as a watch party, Grandma? Is that something?
Probably not, because I'm not sure when I can set aside time specifically to do it. I'll have to kind of watch it on my own time. But I did give you the link to it, so he did say that was okay to give you that, so you can check it out. And we'll talk about it and see, hey, if you got questions about that movie, you can ask them too. So it's
okay. I was going to pull random movie news that was announced today, but I want to stick with the show.
Okay.
Because, I mean, off topic for a second though, but the upcoming movie Clayface is rated R. It has been confirmed, been out. News came out today about its rating. So, hey, Gojira.
Better late than never, as they say. Yeah, the funny thing is he was funny as hell. I was setting up future Kaiju Spotlight segments, and I still have to get with you on some of them too, all of them. But I said one particular name, and he was like, "I gotta get that one. That's me. That's all me." So yeah.
Yeah, that you just gave me an idea when I said I just got my, I would like to sit down with Goji because he loved. I didn't know this, but he's a big Batman fan, so I would like to.
Well, he knows his comics, like he really into comics.
We'll segue to that in a second, but
yeah.
In fact, we will. When I said it, I think down with Savants and stuff, what we could do is I don't know if you and Goji would be up for this. I want to rank the Batman movies.
I'll do it. Yeah, I'm sure he would too.
and then we can sit down and discuss like we're gonna do with the James
Mhm.
Bonds in the future. Also, I know you had told me also you had never done the Spider-Mans as ranking. Is that correct?
I haven't ranked them. No, in fact, I'd have to go watch the middle Spidey because I haven't really watched those
He's
films.
down
So
for it. He just said.
yeah.
So,
Goji's pretty flexible, man. He just got to make time for him that works around his schedule. But he loves joining these streams. So
yeah, we'll just make that official then. I would like, because I mean, I would say just do the live action ones for Batman if you're gonna.
yeah, and I wouldn't worry about the TV series either because I haven't seen
Like,
every episode.
so convoluted, I think, in my opinion, that everything's like whack in the TV universe. Oh,
All right, man. Take care of yourselves. Have a good night at work, brother.
Wow. Late
Yeah.
night shift.
Well, either he has to get up early or one of the two.
Oh. Peace, Goji. We need to get together soon sometime, and
We'll be in touch.
we'll be in touch. There you said. But anyways, do you want me to unveil my pick for next time?
Yeah, so obviously we said this next one's going to be an interview, but if you want to give your pick for the one following, go ahead. What's up, Brony?
Hi, Brony. I saw Brony just came in. That's cool. He was just over on his channel streaming something. I can't think of it. He's a gamer. He streams on YouTube and Twitch.
Did he play Expedition 33 yet?
No, he needs to check it out. He's like a variety streamer. He'll play Nintendo and Switch games.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So, sorry, Switch and PlayStation. That's what I meant to say. Anyways, upcoming content for me. Oh, I'll do after the upcoming content, I'll kind of reveal my pick.
Yeah.
Just got done with what he just said it on the comments, what he played, the new Switch 2.
Oh, okay.
But as far as upcoming content, I plan to be streaming more of this afterwards, because it's the last today, tomorrow, and Sunday are the last days of the beta.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get more of it out there, so I think people actually enjoyed it. I know I got a good amount of views on the next thing I'm going to talk about last time, which like stunned me. Like I got 100 something views on this game that I'll be continuing on tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it blew me up. It stunned me that I got 100 something views on one game.
Nice.
I'm like, wow. But we should be close to the end of the story. And if anybody's curious, this is 100% playthrough. So every collectible, every upgrade is going to be a max. I'm like one of those completionist players. I like to do everything like that. Speaking of upcoming content, also, me and Gojira851 will be doing this eventually in the future. I have to still make intro for this. I still have to make an intro for the new show that I segued on the previous episode as well. Then I also, with the tokusatsu stuff, I have to do the intros for 2 of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an idea, and I'll talk to you off stream, but I wanted to use one of your bands that you have used before. I got a song in mind for like one of the intros.
Okay.
Keep it cool. Keep it in that genre of tokusatsu also.
Right.
Possibly Oxygen Destroyer.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah. But, and then with the tokusatsu, it's gonna be on this channel. So, and I was talking to Geek on Discord DM today, and I was talking to him, why don't we do 4 episodes of like a TV show when you're covering a TV show? That way, you, the viewer, you can have time to watch the show. You can have time to get caught up with the reviews and stuff. So I don't know how you guys did it with when you did TV shows like The Boys or like one of those, but
right now I know that Kevin does it pretty much now with Tony, like there's certain things they're watching, but for me it's harder to do it unless I binge something and then just talk about like the one season and then follow with another season, because when he and I tried to do the For Those About to Die, and it's like I watched like the first 2-3 episodes and we weren't getting around to doing the review. And then by the time we were ready to do it, I'd already forgotten everything that happened in the first 3 episodes. I was like, that's a little harder for me to do personally. I mean, it might be easy for Goji or anyone else to do it, but it's hard for me to keep up with the splitting them up. I'd have to do like a binge watch of something and then do the review like within a couple of days. So I consider it's like it's fresh in my head to go and say, yeah, I really enjoyed this. Like Cobra Kai, like if I had binge watched that final season, I could have just went in and said, this is what I liked about it, yada, yada, yada.
But I mean, that's the idea right now. I haven't figured in the first series we'll be covering. Let me get a picture of that. So in case anybody wants to, I have a link to it also. So in case anybody wants to watch it whenever we cover it, I will probably be posting those in the chat. Let me see if I have any.
What is your pick for the next Savants?
I gotta get a thumbnail for it.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
So we will be starting with on if it'll load. We are going to be starting with a show. This is 26 episodes. So it'll be 4 episodes on the reviews per, just so somebody that wants to watch the show with us, they can watch, those episodes, and it's going to be me, Geek, Alzilla, and then I've got bringing on a new co-host, like I said, kind of teased a little bit. Somebody that from probably the Power Rangers, the Sentai fan base.
Right.
But this show is called Robot Detective K. This is by a manga creator who did the Kamen Rider. He created Kamen Rider Super Sentai. He also did such shows as Inunzaman. He did shows as Kikaider, which is this right there is Kikaider, right here.
Yeah.
And then he also did a show called Kaiketsu Zubat. It's another kind of detective, but this guy is world renowned. He had a lot of cool creations, and I'm sure we'll do an episode with the second show where we'll talk about go into the history of Shatoro Ishinomori was a legend. It's the best way to say it. And there's a lot of cool shows and stuff that he did. Yeah. And then you wanted my pick. I think we'll be wanting to get Neko on this one I choose. The reason I say that, she said this was one of her.
What is it, Rocky Horror?
We're sticking with the Bonds.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can't find them. And we're going to the Sean Connery era of Bonds. An era that I love, personally. It's the era that started
Man talk, baby.
Huh?
Man talk, baby.
My pick is
Goldfinger.
Neko has, how Neko has talked about how she likes one. So
She's a Bond fan, but she pretty much likes a lot of the stuff that I like too. She loses interest in some of the later stuff as well. Yeah,
but
that's gonna be a tough one to get through in Brosnan era.
you never know. I mean, they're longer. They're like what I think.
Well, no, yeah, it's hard to like. Right. Yeah, so it's like he was talked about so much as being a good Bond, but like I think Timothy Dalton was way underrated compared to the Brosnan.
Funny enough, Goldfinger is the third ever film in the Bond universe.
Yep. It's a good film.
Introduced a lot of the cool stuff that we have
Mhm,
in the Bond films. But this has been episode 15. Tune in for a special episode next Saturday. One that Olvin, and I bet Anubis are looking forward to me doing next Saturday. It's now my most anticipated, excited episode to do, because I've never actually, tell you the truth, never done like an on-screen interview. So this will be a first experience for me. A lot of people I know are looking forward to checking it out as well. So
yeah. Should be fun.
But look forward to that next Saturday. I don't know. Are we doing it at the same time? Does that work for him? Did you reach out?
We can follow up with him and make sure what day works for him. Did he send you an email with that?
He said anytime.
Okay. Well, we'll clarify with him. I can talk to him. I can ask him like what time zone he's in and everything and find out.
Same as you.
Okay. So yeah. So we probably won't make it super late, but maybe we'll do 8:00 like we've been doing. My time. 7:00 your time.
But this has been Silver Screen Savants episode 15. You will see this show next Saturday for episode 16. Well, I don't know if we want to call it.
Well, yeah, it will be episode halfway. Like we're doing a special edition, basically.
And we're talking up with a director that's got an upcoming cool looking horror movie coming up.
Yep.
I hope it wins Oscars or awards or whatever.
I don't think it'll be that big. I don't think it's on that.
You never know.
Well, we'll see, but I think it's going to be more independent, low budget, but should be fun.
Maybe we can. Okay, never mind. I'll save it for stuff off screen.
Yeah, get your questions ready for them.
I thought we were going to sit down and do that, like the questions.
No, I mean, we're going to watch the film and then like I'm going to read up on them a little bit, so I might have different questions than you have. We might have the same questions, but either way, you just come up with stuff that you think you might want to ask them, and I'll do the same. And then as we're going through, we'll just have a nice free-flowing discussion and talk about whatever,
I don't know. Are we doing that live or?
Oh yeah. Gotta do it live. Yeah.
Okay, that's what. Okay. But
because he's probably going to have some people that might want to tune in. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. So that's why I asked.
That's a good way to get some of his fan base involved. So.
But I've been Olvin. This has been DJ Anubis. You will see this. It's the Silver Screen Savants next Saturday. And it's normal date on a Saturday.
Yeah, sorry guys. Got a concert to go to tomorrow. Got to spend time with the wife.
I've got a concert to go to in October, in fact. But we will see you next time on Silver Screen Savants.
Peace.